Hello, we're here today with Midway ISD Superintendent Dr. Kazanas. Dr. Kazanas, can you give me an overview of the bond and all that it entails?
I'd be happy to. Thanks for inviting me to your show this
sir.
morning. The bond package was passed in May of 2013, and since that time, it's been, as you can imagine, a little over a year, and almost a year and a half. A lot of progress has been made, and so the bond included two new facilities for the district, which included the expansion of the Fine Arts Wing. That's something that you see every day driving into the high school. Also included behind the school by the arena, across from the arena, is the new multi-purpose Student Activity Center, and that will include a new weight room facility plus an indoor facility for all of our programs, extracurricular programs. We're very excited about that. Also in the bond was inclusion for some renovations to other parts of the schools. Just all 10 of the schools are within Midway ISD are receiving some form of renovation or new equipment to their schools. We have, for example, currently at the middle school is getting a new roof, and they may not sound real exciting, but it is a big project. Most of that roof had been from the original, from the 1970s, so it's nice to have a new roof in place over at the middle school. We've also been able to purchase new buses, so many of the students may have seen those buses already, been on them, ridden on them. Included, it's called a regular route, those that pick up our students to and take them home from school every day. Plus a group of buses we call the trip buses, extracurricular trips, taking the football team or the band or a golf team, things like that, out to an extracurricular sporting event or event that they're participating in. So that's been another big part of the bond. As I mentioned to you before, then within, for example, Fine Arts, we've also been able to purchase a lot of new equipment, including orchestra equipment. Some of you may have seen, for example, a new harp in the orchestra. We've been able to buy new band equipment, and most visible, of course, has been some percussion, plus some new tubas and sousaphones, for example, things like that. So we're real excited that we were able to get those in this bond.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm an athlete, and I'm curious, would you tell us what the facilities will be included in the sports complex?
Exactly. So that is, I call it an impact center, which is multi-purpose activity center, because it's truly going to make an impact on all of our programs for our students. To start with, it's an over 10,000 square foot weight room. Many of the athletes realize now that they're pretty cramped quarters and they're having to maneuver here and there, and we needed to give our athletes more space for working out and more specific type of workouts that are specific to their sport. And so we're excited to be able to offer that in this new facility. Also will include a large a mat room, also for other types of exercises there for the students. And then, of course, we have a full size, one of the few in the state of Texas at a high school, a full size 100-yard, including the end zone, multi-purpose center that will be turf, the same type of turf that is on Panther Stadium. Hellas Construction's coming in with that. It'll be certainly available for inclement weather when our teams need to practice. We're real excited to design it where it has different types of netting so that, for example, the golf team, they can be practicing swinging golf when and maybe inclement or bad weather outside. Certainly be able to recreate diamonds like a softball diamond and a baseball diamond when they need to work out, and of course indoor batting cages for that. So we're excited about those programs. You can just imagine soccer being able to get their workout in, and as well as the football team, of course. We're hoping that if needed, the ROTC can do their maneuvers and practices that they need to do. And then, with marching band and our goaltenders, being able to have that type of facility to come in and practice before they perform, either for a contest or for our public at one of our events that we have scheduled.
Wow, that's awesome. So it sounds like every sport will be able to use this facility.
Some form or fashion. Yes, ma'am.
That's wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we see the fine arts every day,
yes.
And we see what's being built outside. But what we see being built, what will that translate to?
All right, let me talk about the fine arts. We're really excited about that expansion. Just a real quick overview, in the new parts the new part of the fine art expansion includes a new studio for our dance team. That studio, just to imagine, is as large as a basketball court. So they have that full ability to perform their, practice their complete routines. Also is a new hall for orchestra. Orchestra's been sharing in the band hall. They'll have their own dedicated space with room to store their instruments, and offices and ensemble rooms and practice rooms. The choir has continued to expand and grow. Well over 300 students here at Midway High School participate in the choral program. So they will have new larger rooms, as well as the opportunity to have, as I said, ensemble rooms, smaller practice rooms for them. So what's going to happen with the existing part of the building? We're really excited to do some renovations to the theater. It's time. Again, it's over 10 years old, and Mr. Umhofer, our coordinator of fine arts, is working on those renovations. But we're excited about converting the former choir area into a black box theater, and so we'll have that in place. A black box theater is a more intimate theater for smaller crowds, maybe 100 to 150 folks that attend, but it gives the students that exposure to that type of theatrical performance. In addition, we're renovating the dance classrooms where they offer theater classrooms. The theater program has also continued to grow and needing more space for classroom space, and have areas for production and the building of sets and storage, things of that nature. So that's what's going to happen after the new fine art wing is completed, which we're hoping by the end of this school year, and then during the summer, hopefully those renovations will take place, so that soon when school starts in 2016 school year, we'll have those available for students.
Awesome. And we see the renovations outside for now, but when will the renovations begin inside, and when will the repurposement begin?
That hopefully will begin as soon as the students are released from school in the 1st of June here in 2015. So those the same construction company will begin right away, and it may take a little bit longer than when school starts, but they should get a big portion of that work done while the students are away for the summer break.
Wonderful. And what's the estimated time of completion for each segment of the bond and what we're getting?
Yes. Now, as I mentioned, the Impact Center, or the Student Activity Center, we're hoping by end of December. We want that facility up and running soon for the second semester. You just imagine that's the wintertime, and a lot of those late winter, early spring sports are beginning with softball and baseball, soccer underway, golf. It's a great opportunity to have those students come on inside when needed for their practice sessions. So we're hoping to dedicate it and have that facility open for students soon after the start of the second semester. So that's January of 2015. Now, the fine art expansion, the new part of the building that we're adding on, we're hoping by April or the 1st of May of 2015. And then, as I mentioned, the other part will be soon right after that, that's renovating the inside. Now, our other renovations at school, and the other 9 schools, are happening mainly in the summer. As I mentioned, the middle school roof extended into this fall, but we're looking at roof replacements at other schools, window replacements at some of the older schools, Spiegelville Elementary, Hewitt Elementary, new windows in place for next summer, maybe some parking lot expansion at Spiegelville. So those types of projects are underway. We, of course, replace the air conditioning. They're called HVAC units that we want to wait and do those in the summer as well. So those are slated to go in the summer. So overall, we're anticipating completion of all of the bond projects by sometime, I would say this time next school year. We're looking at November, December of 2015 that majority of our projects will be finished.
Awesome. And what is the estimated cost of the whole bond itself? What is that?
It was $34.5 million, the entire bond package. And
okay,
so
wow.
Just here alone at the high school, just in new facilities alone, is about $15 million of that. The multi-purpose center is a little over $8.5 million. The addition to the high school for fine arts is about $6.6 million, plus additional dollars for the renovation on the inside too. So, and the equipment that I mentioned. So $16+ million just right here at the high school alone.
That's awesome. And can you tell us what exactly is a bond?
A bond. Now that's a good question because it's not what you would think. It's not 007. It's not James Bond. We're talking about how we finance these purchases. And I'm glad you brought so I could swing in one other portion of the bond. Many of you all know as students, part of the bond included technology. And the technology budget of our bond was a little close to $10 million. The iPad purchase that every student has was between $3 and $4 million for every student, pre-K K through the 12th grade has an iPad. Our pre-K students use them in centers, as you know, for younger students, but kindergarten on up, every student has their iPad. So that cost. And so what you do with a bond is it's a way to finance that purchase. And so for the iPads and that type of technology, we're paying that portion off within 4 to 5 years. However, with the other parts of the bond, we're paying that off within 20 years. And so Midway is able then to have a credit rating, and those bonds are put up for sale. Investors see school bonds as a good investment on their money, and then we're able then to borrow those dollars and then pay them off with twice a year. We make payments on those bonds, and as I said, within 20 years, in this particular issuance of bonds will be paid off.
Okay, and we knew last year that people were talking about this bond and talking about how whether or not it would pass. Can you explain what the process was for the bond being passed? Sure,
that's another very excellent question. Probably could do a show just on that process, but it always starts, I call it a grassroots level, talking about it's always a continuous improvement. How can we make Midway better? What do we need to make an educational experience better for our students? And also, how do we maintain and how do we keep our buildings in great shape, because we do want them to last. They are public facilities, and we have, for example, here at the high school, almost 2,300 students in it, day in, day out. And so that has to be taken care of for future generations of Midway students. And so it begins at that level. And then the school board, in conjunction working with myself, the superintendent, plus other administrators, begin those talks. And then we talk about, well, how can we involve our community? Because our schools are our community. And we've then developed a community facility team, began a committee that would look at our needs before necessarily calling for a bond. And so I was able then to have maybe the experts in technology, some of those in our maintenance and transportation area, of course our fine art area, our athletic areas, these things that we're identifying what are the needs of the district. And our community members went through different sessions. They met up in groups. They went out. We had meetings all throughout, for example, the month of January, and went out and talked to the folks that they knew in order to prioritize and formulate what could a bond package look like that we wanted to present. So they make a recommendation then to the full board of trustees, and then the full board supported that and called for the bond in like the month of February. And then after that, many of those folks that were working on a committee became part of a political action committee, a bond steering committee. And then they take it from there. All the district can do from this point is just put out some facts, some information about how much the bond would cost and what we would spend it on, when election time, how to register to vote. But this other group, these volunteers, our parents, other community members then can talk about the benefits to it. And that's their role, to go out into the community and talk about why this is important to pass for Midway ISD. And that election is held in conjunction with our school board elections, which are the second Saturday of May. And so we had that election in May, and it was approved. And after that time, we worked throughout the summer to put the bonds out to the market for investors to purchase those. And then when the money is received by the district, then we're set to go.
All right. And so how long was the time period between when it was first proposed to when things actually began to happen?
Okay, I have to think a little bit on that, but first proposed means the first talk about possible bond election even began when I first came on board, which was June of 2012.
All right.
But serious talks were, I would say, October, November of 2012. Then in January of 2013, our committee was formed, as I said, and spent the entire month studying the issues. February, the bonds called, and so May of 2013 is when the bond package was presented to voters. And so now we're talking about 1 year from then, and I mentioned to you next year. So it takes a good 2.5 years, and more than likely about a 3-year process for a full bond package to go from the discovery stage of it, the passage of a bond, the construction or the purchase of things from the bond, to when we completely wrap up projects. So in this case, this $34 million package is about 3 years.
All right. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's been great to learn about all this, and thank you once again.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was great.
You're welcome.
That was great.
You're welcome.